The AllStar app, the #1 app in the business. UFC, Bellator, One Championship, PFL, and more. Get the app right now. Link in description.
UFC 284 in Perth. You're chasing double champ status, lightweight title. How far does this plan to go up to lightweight? How far does it go back? When was the first glimpses of this?
Obviously, when you started seeing people doing it, really, you started seeing it happen, and you're like, oh yeah, especially knowing that I've fought in so many different weight classes. And then with the featherweight division, it definitely started being like, all right, I need to move up at some point, because when I was trying to find that who's that #1 contender, sort of, that was happening, where it was obviously fighting Max a few times, but there wasn't really a #1 guy other than Max. So that made me start being like, oh, maybe I'll do this lightweight thing, you know what I mean? But I'm not, it's not time yet. I had to wait till I thought I deserved it, because that's the type of guy I am. And obviously after the last one, I was like, all right, I think I deserved it. I was talking about it for a while, but that's when I really pushed it forward, because I was like, all right, I think I deserved it. Let's do it. And here we are.
You definitely deserve it. And, there's deserving, and then there's also timing as well. You know what I mean? You have to be at the optimal time during your prime, I guess, to go up a weight and to perform at the best, the highest level you can. Mm-hmm. When did you feel like you were ready, like physically and mentally, to go up?
I mean, I always knew I could. I mean, again, I've fought at many different weights. I've always trained with bigger guys. Even when we used to train here in Thailand a long time ago, there would always be me and the bigger guys. I've always been, I used to fluctuate a fair bit, even though I was so short. We used to have big guys and little guys, groups. That's how many people were training. I would always sneak myself into the bigger area. I would always sneak myself on the bigger size. Sometimes you would have George and that'd be like, hey, get back over there. Or sometimes they knew I needed the big guys, so they'll just lead me over there. So it was, I've always trained with bigger guys. It's always been like that. I've always been very strong, and a lot stronger than how I look and my size and things like that. So I always knew it was something that I wanted to do and could do. But obviously, my confidence, I'm comfortable where I'm at. Everything's just at its peak right now. My understanding of the game, my understanding of positions, the mindset, all that type of stuff is just peaked right now. And that's why I think it's definitely the time. Obviously, we keep talking about the championship thing, going up to lightweight and getting that second belt. Obviously, that is a good goal, big goal, and very good for the legacy. But I think taking on guys and challenges like Islam's, where a lot of people are like, oh, he hasn't versed a big wrestler, grappler, especially in the heavier division. They think this is a massive mountain to climb. Okay, cool, that just makes the win bigger. That just makes my legacy even better when I get it done. Is it going to be easy? Nah, no fight's easy. This is a challenge. But you need to prepare, and I know I needed to prepare, and I've prepared properly, and I still got plenty more time, and I'm going to be in my peak. I'm going to be as strong as ever, and I'm going to be more than ready. So I can't wait to go out there and prove myself and prove a lot of them people and doubters wrong.
Do you ever look at it as a risk, though? You know what I mean? You have this 22-fight win streak. You're the UFC featherweight champ. You're arguably the greatest featherweight of all time. You kind of put that on the line somewhat going into this challenge.
Yeah, well, but that's what it's all about for me. I don't know, what do you want me to do? Just sit there and just rack up any win? That's not how I am. I want challenges. These challenges are making me better, not only a better human being, making me have that stronger mindset, that better mentality. It's a mentality I've always had. Chasing these things, sitting there and just protecting records and things like that. It's never been how I was, and it never will be. That's what I mean. Every fight's a risk. I go out there and everyone has a puncher's chance. I'd rather take on bigger challenges. I'd rather take on challenges people think can't be done, because at the end of the day, that just moves you forward. You know what I mean? Going out there, look at you go and you take out Max Holloway. Obviously, I fought him a couple of times, beat him, but go for that third time when everyone was saying how much better we've both gotten, how much better Max has gotten as well, and all this type of stuff. Go out there and just completely dominate a guy like that and perform like that. Look where it puts you. All of a sudden, people are like, oh yeah, he's a good champion, but then all of a sudden, oh, he's one of the best, blah, blah, blah. That's just what it's all about. These are the types of fights that really put you there. against Islam right now, what he did to Oliveira. People are thinking, especially that Dagestani wrestling, that style. It is a very strong style, but again, I don't fold under that type of pressure. I don't fold under any of that. So I'm ready for the challenge. I'm putting myself in uncomfortable positions every day. Just constant shark tanks, getting fresh body, strong guys to just constantly put me in bad positions and just rounds and rounds and rounds of it. And when you're doing that, there's going to be times where you're going to get uncomfortable. There's going to be times when you're losing. But, all right, stay composed, keep fighting, get back to your feet. That's the main thing. And, again, a lot of people don't put themselves in them positions. They want to win everywhere. They want to win in the gym every single time. So they make sure they're fresh. They make sure they stay in good positions when they start. Me, I'll put myself in the worst position to make me getting up that little bit harder, to make me that little bit more prepared for when fight comes. People aren't doing what I'm doing. I don't believe that. That's why I'm the guy I am. I'm the champion I am, and that's why I don't fold under any pressure. That's why I'm always composed, because I do the hard yards and I do the ugly stuff that a lot of people don't want to do.
So your training, of course, it improves throughout the years, but what got you to the dance, you haven't changed much from that.
Not really, no, not much. Obviously, the knowledge is getting there. Me being comfortable with my style, me understanding my style and understanding everything. Obviously, my fight IQ is getting up a lot more, but the basics, not the basics, but all the fundamentals, what I'm all about. The person I am has always been there. It's just that knowledge and confidence and all that's coming with it. And that understanding of the game's just really set me on another level. And that's really what's going to help me in this fight. Again, when you can put me in any position, I'm going to figure it out. I'm a problem solver. I always have been. That's what's made me who I am. That's why I've always been a great fighter. That's why I've always been a composed type of guy, because I'm constantly figuring things out and problem solving. And again, if there's a problem, I'll solve it. I'll get back to my feet and I'll do what I need to do. So again, this is just words. I'm telling everyone, people are going to think it ain't going to happen. People are going to doubt me, and they should. Again, this isn't an easy challenge. But just remember, you're putting him on this pedestal. A lot of people are acting like, it can't be done, and Islam this, and the wrestling this, and the grappling, the lightweight, they're too big, and all this. Just remember that. Don't forget about that. When I get this job done, don't start changing that narrative. That's what I really want people to understand. I feel like every time you do something, the excuses come out. I don't want to hear any excuses. I ain't taking big challenges. Like you said, you're risking everything. I do that for this. So don't go changing all this. Why am I risking it? Because of all this stuff people are gonna name. All of a sudden, I go and get the job done. They change that narrative. Don't fucking change it.
Well, you've gone through this in the past, right?
Yep.
With Max Holloway. So it's not something you've not faced, I guess, on the cerebral side. Is that part of the cerebral side? Is having critics and people coming at you?
I really think it's I don't know, I think that just adds fuel for me. So I think the challenge, I think I love being a doubt. I think again the challenges, right? Mm-hmm. And what comes with challenges? The doubt, it can't be done. Because again, think of all the movies you watch. Your Rocky Balboas, all them types of stuff. It's all about the underdogs. Mm-hmm. Define all odds and all that. Every real good story, every movie and all that usually has something like that happening. And the hero somehow does it and all this type of stuff. So I love being that underdog. I love doing that, and I think it just adds to the story. This should be the David and Goliath, the way people are talking about. All right, it should be like that. Yeah, I am taking the challenge. I am moving up. I am versing a strong guy in a heavier division and all that type of stuff. He is good. But when I get the job done, I don't want to hear, but he hasn't versed anyone that good. Or, don't start changing that. Again, I know I've said that, and I don't want to repeat myself, but I can just see it happening because it always does. But I hope people really put the respect on my name for not only taking on these types of challenges, but going out there and conquering them. Give me the respect I deserve for doing things like this. Otherwise, if you aren't going to give the people who deserve, you won't get champions like me putting things on the line if you ain't going to credit them for it.
This is the hottest topic, right? You facing Islam. And I asked a lot of fighters what they think about this fight. And a lot of support is on your side. You know what I mean? A lot of fighters believe that you can do it. And they're, you know, of course they're going to pick Islam because he's the favorite most of the time. But, you know, you got like Chandler coming out saying that he believes you can beat him. Yair is even rooting for you to take out Islam. You know, in the past, it wasn't like that. In the past, it was a lot of, like you said, a lot of doubt, right? How does it feel to have that support now from like major names?
It's good. Obviously, my hard work is getting noticed now. You know, and people are seeing what I'm doing. And again, you know, it's the fights like, man, as soon as I got that confidence in me being comfortable and all, I've always put the work in. I've always been good, but ever since I really understood everything and really put it together with that confidence and all that, you just seen everything just go up a whole nother level. And obviously I showed that in my last few performances. And especially that last one. You go from people still doubting you to all of a sudden, wow, this guy. But I mean, and then I was like, if I was to fight people in featherweight, you know, without tooting my own horn out, we all know what most people are going to think. And I'll be honest, it doesn't excite me. I wanted people to think I can't get the job done. So I really do like the underdog. I like the challenge and all that type of stuff. As soon as that fight got announced, and it was going to happen, as soon as I walked into the cage and all that, and I was like, oh shit, this is happening. Literally, I couldn't drink that afternoon, that night, nothing. I was like, that's it, we're on. Talking to my managers and everything. Let's get these trainers, but we're starting camp early, we're going this. I want to get on a strength program. I want to start bulking. Maybe, you know, I want to get the science. I've got my nutritionist to really, and my strength and conditioning coaches to really be like, all right, we might try and put on a couple of kilos of good muscle where I can still be sharp, but be stronger, all that type of stuff. I want to bring wrestlers in nice and early, you know, get you guys like Craig Jones in early, fight from, you know, just all that type of stuff. I'm telling you, overnight, my takedown defense, and I got stronger, literally, just because of that challenge. And I knew I needed to do that. I was like, all right now I can't just go in there with a normal camp, and, you know, that might not be enough. I need to prepare properly. I need to make sure no stone is left unturned for this one, because I know this is a challenge. This is hard work, but that excites me, and literally this is going to make me so much more of a better fighter. I feel sorry for the guys that I fight after this. So again, I'm looking forward to seeing the fighter I'll be once I'm peak condition, because again we're really focusing on certain things. Bulking. Once I lean out that little bit, I've got all that explosive muscle, the perfect weight. I can't wait to see how my body's going. So I'm really looking forward to that.
They talk about the weight differential, and you've been all the way up to, I believe, 97 kilos. What's the lowest weight you've been down to?
Oh, featherweight. So, fighting at featherweight.
66 kilos.
65.8, yeah, or whatever. I probably weighed in lighter than that, but yeah, so that'll be the lightest. Like, a lot of people think that I am a short featherweight, but I'm reasonably heavy.
Yeah.
I've always been a bit heavier than most the featherweights anyway, most probably. You know, obviously just heavy set. I just hold a lot more water. Again, they look a lot bigger. They probably are bigger, but just how that, you know, I don't know, they say big bone or whatever, like just very heavy set. So I've always had to cut a fair bit. So I'll still have to cut a fair bit for lightweight. A lot of people think I'm just going to walk in on weight. I'm like 80 kilograms. I got up to 80 kilograms for this one now. I'm going to start bringing it down, and I want to fight. I don't want to fight at that weight. I want to fight a little bit lighter. But I want to make sure I'm, come in, you're right. I want to make sure I'm at the perfect where I'm just as strong, but I'm still just as fast. You know what I mean? So I think the 77, 78 max, you know, I don't want to go much more than that. Really lean and just that explosive muscle.
What was your toughest weight cut?
Weight.
What was your toughest weight cut?
Toughest weight cut, probably Fight Island. Fight Island was a short camp, and, you know, obviously a few shit things, a small camp and a big weight cut. Yeah, probably say that one. I've had bigger weight cuts like earlier in my career, but yeah, Fight Island, you know, for how important, you know, obviously you do it early in your career, but who cares, right? But I mean, doing it at title fights, short camps, and being heavy, started, not having enough time to get that weight lower and all that type of stuff, you know, you should be doing that in title fights, but you know, but again, I've had bigger weight cuts earlier in my career.
You've only lost once in your career at welterweight. When you look back at that fight at welterweight, just take us back to the experience of you. You're the featherweight champ now, but 10 years ago you were fighting at welterweight. That's insane to me.
I fought a middleweight. So I've fought a middleweight a few times.
Okay.
Yeah, so my whole amateur career was middleweight. But I fought at welterweight a few times. I've won titles at welterweight. I fought top guys. So the guy that beat me, I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but the guy that beat me lost to the guy I beat in welterweight. You know what I mean? Like, it's just funny. So it's Anton Zafir. He actually fought in the UFC as well. So yeah, I've fought titles at welterweight, and again, like most of my training partners are always bigger than me. You know what I mean? Again, I've got training partners out on my size and things like that. I've got a couple boys at the gym that are always doing the rounds with me, like your Colbys, your Jarretts, and Justin Van Heeden and all that type of stuff. But again, a lot of times we get people in, they're usually bigger. When I travel and go to a place like this, you're training with your Merbecks and you know the twins there and all that. So bigger guys, I'm used to the bigger guys.
And when you go back to that fight though, that exact fight, and losing and tasting defeat, is it still in your mouth to this day?
No, not at all, man. It's not. Like I'm very thankful for that. Again, cliche. You know, you learn a lot from them. There was a lot of things that we worked on straight after that, because that was when I was a wrestler, but didn't do much grappling. So he ended up getting me on my like he ended up getting on top, and then I was struggling to get up. This was a long time ago, so I was like, all right, we're going to do some jiu-jitsu. So I started doing that, and then that became my grappling, especially in that earlier part of my career in the UFC and all that. That was my biggest part. You know, my rise to UFC. Everyone knew me as a wrestler grappler, with obviously big puncher as well. But that was because of that loss. I went from being just a wrestler with an overhand right that was just knocking everyone out, to a guy that I end up losing, and I've got to work on jiu-jitsu. So I just worked jiu-jitsu, did jiu-jitsu comps and everything, and then all of a sudden I was a grappler. So I was a grappler most of my career, and then since the Chad Mendes, or maybe just before that, all of a sudden I was a striker. People forgot about my wrestling, grappling. So there you go. So people just, that's how well-rounded I am. They see fights and they think I'm just a grappler. They see other fights, they think I'm just a striker.
How does that feel though? You know what I mean? For somebody that has never fought, somebody that hasn't gone through a career in MMA or in any kind of combat sport, how does it feel to develop throughout the years and to be at this point right now where a lot of people believe that you have probably the highest fight IQ in the world?
Well, it's awesome. It's in anything in life. That's why people do anything, right? Like, you shouldn't just want to plod along and just get through anything you do. If you get stuff, you want to be good at it. You want to win and all that type of stuff. You want to improve. But to see that and then to go where I am again, like just knowing I had the right, again, that problem-solving mentality that I have, that problem-solving.
I don't mean to cut you off, but Are you a perfectionist though?
I wouldn't say a perfectionist. I can be in certain ways, but man, I don't think I'm a perfectionist. I'm a realist as well. There's times where I expect better, but I'm a realist at the same time, right? Like when I say realist, as in, I understand if I'm getting Shark Tanked by 10 guys and they're fresh and they're only doing 30 seconds each with me, and I'm doing bad positions, I'm not expecting to win every single round. But if I'm not trying and I'm just giving up and things like that, that's when I get upset with myself. So I've got a perfect balance where I'm not a perfectionist, but I still have very high expectations and I want to meet them. But I understand what's doable and what's not. So you got the perfect balance where if you're a perfectionist and you're never reaching that and you're always trying, you're never going to be happy with yourself, and you probably would give up on things. I don't know. I find that I've got a perfect balance between very high expectations. I wouldn't say perfectionist.
I think you need to have a bit of it in you, right? You don't have to be full blown.
As in
a crazy
perfectionist.
person. Yeah.
I have high expectations, so that's as close as it gets to perfectionist, right?
Exactly.
So I just mean, again, you could say, I guess that's what people mean when they say perfectionist. Obviously, no one's perfect, but they understand I expect better every time. You know what I mean? Like, I should do better. Or, sometimes I do a good session, like, I'm happy with that. That's reasonable where I'm at. You know what I mean? You got to understand that. Because sometimes I've had times where I've had the worst sparring sessions a week out of my fight. And I'm like, fuck, am I ready for this fight? But mind you, I had the hardest week of the camp. It's you busted your ass, you're tired, you're exhausted, you're weight cutting, and then you go out there and have the best performance of your life. You know what I mean? So you got to sometimes understand that, rather, because how much could that mentally fuck you? Excuse me. How much could that mentally get you if you had a bad sparring and then you had guys in the gym doing well better than they should have? But you understand, all right, I'm half dead right now. So it's all good. And then you go out there and put on one of the best performances of your life. So I remember that with Chad Mendes. I was like sitting there, I was like, oh man, I'm not real happy. And then I was like, oh, relax though, it's, it wasn't the best. And then I go out there and take out Chad Mendes. So that's when I started realizing, all right, I've got high expectations, but you got to understand, you know what I mean? And I think sports psychs and that really help with that. Because at the end of the day, you sit there and be like, this. I go, oh, well, why? There's probably reasons why. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, I got a staph infection. I'm sick. I did this, had a bad sleep. It's like, well, there's your answer. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's that simple. So, sometimes you need to understand all that, and that comes with experience. So I think I might have not a perfectionist, but I've always had high expectations. I've always tried. I've always pushed myself, even from the earlier days. I didn't expect things to be perfect, but again, I was a problem solver, and I always, even if I was in a bad position with someone a lot better than me, I'm still trying to get the fuck up. I'm still trying to get out of that shit position. I'm going to find a way. I'm going to keep going until I get out. And that's just the type of guy I am. Whether that means you're a perfectionist or not, I don't know.
I'm taking the approach of expect the unexpected. Because I feel like whatever you think might happen on either side, that's probably not going to happen. Something extraordinary will probably likely be the outcome of this fight. When you envision this fight, what do you see?
Man, I think it's going to be more of a stand-up battle. I think it's going to be more of a stand-up battle. Obviously, he's going to shoot earlier with my movement and that. I think he's going to be on cover. He's going to probably work striking and things. I'm not saying his striking's bad, but he's going to be that little bit uncomfortable with my movement and things like that, and things coming off weird angles than he's used to, and the timing of that I have and all that type of stuff. It's going to make him that little bit more uncomfortable and want to, all right, I'm going to go where I'm comfortable. I'm going to try and clinch and all that type of stuff. He's going to be strong early. If he does grab a hold of me, he's going to hold, but I guarantee you, one person, again, I'm constantly doing rounds and rounds and rounds of fresh guys coming in, and they get 5-10 minutes rest in between their rounds, and by the end of it they're fresh. They're like, half of them want to just do 2 minutes or 3 minutes because they want to give me all the work they can as hard as they can, but then they fold. Imagine the same guy having to do with that. I'm telling you, I'm gonna be able to do that for 5 rounds, especially against one guy. I don't care how strong you are. I don't care how fit you are. You're going to slow down. You are going to get weaker if you even grab a hold of me. Or even if you do get me down, I'm going to get up. It's going to be on the feet. I think he's going to understand that. First round, he'll push for it. I feel like I'm going to catch him, man, because I know I want to capitalize on the feet. That's something that I'm usually... I'll get a bit more technical with this, where usually when I'm fighting other guys, I know their chances are more likely to be a puncher's chance, if you get what I mean. So I've got more of a safe net on the feet. I can't take too... I'm the type of champion or fighter that I will take some risks, I do put a bit of pressure, I do attack, I do throw a fair bit of volume, but I still have a bit of a safe net around it. With this one, I will have a safe net, but I need to capitalize on the feet. I can't sit there and just take my time and be real patient and be so worried on the feet, because I don't want to let rounds get taken away from me. I need to capitalize, and that's why I feel like I get a finish. So I've never really had to capitalize on the feet as much as I want to now. So I feel like I'm getting the finish, believe it or not. So I feel like it's going to be more of a stand-up battle. First round's going to be a bit more of a fight. I reckon there'll be clinches involved and all that type of stuff. Maybe a little more messy. And then the second round and all that, I think he's going to try, even though he's going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be more on the feet. And I reckon I'm going to put hands on him, so I can't wait. So I'm looking forward to that. But again, I'm preparing for 5 rounds of bad position stuff, because that's the type of guy I'm always doing. Even against guys that I know aren't going to be that difficult. I'm always putting myself through that type of conditioning, and I put myself through walls in the gym all the time, just in case. So you need to do that, especially with a guy like Islam. You need to be prepared to do 25 minutes of absolute wall, even from shit positions.
A couple more questions, man, I want to get from you about the featherweight division. The first one is, of course, last year, one of your best performances, the Korean Zombie. You killed a little bit of Korea with that. It's all good. In the fight, man, you had that moment where you were asking him, like, are you okay? And he said yes. But when you look into his eyes, and when I'm watching the fight, it didn't seem like he was okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
it was like, this is what I felt like I had this a bit in the Ortega fight as well, where we're fighters, we're warriors. You're not going to sit there and be like, and just tap on the floor and in between rounds tell your coaches, look, I'm done. You ain't going to do that. There's no way Korean Zombie's going to do that. There's no way he's even going to let off things. But like, I could see in his eyes, even though he wasn't trying to do that, I could see in his eyes he was done. He knew he tried everything and it just was not going his way, and he felt defeated. You know what I mean? So I felt bad at that stage because I'm just like, I felt like the refs could have just been like, all right, that's it. He's done, because even when he was sitting there and just, didn't look like it's not like he didn't want to be there, but he's like, there's nothing I can do. So I felt like he looked defeated. So that's why the ref didn't give it to him. So I was just like, I don't know, I just said, obviously he's going to say he's okay. I don't know why I asked, but it was just the guy I am. Yeah. Same with Ortega. I felt like in between rounds, I felt he was done. I felt he showed the ref more than enough to say that he was done. There was a few things that almost felt like he was sort of asking for help without saying it, without actually literally saying it. I thought he did enough to tell them that he was done, but he didn't. So I felt bad then. But in saying that, he ended up having a better round in the fifth. But yeah, I felt Zombie was done. I don't know, just the type of guy I am. Because I know he's a good dude. And obviously, you want to see these guys go back healthy to their family.
Yeah. Taking damage is a big topic, man, because you start to see a lot of guys that had that kind of style where they took a lot of damage to get the results they wanted, right? For yourself, you don't take much damage, and you haven't taken much damage at all in your whole UFC career. How much of not taking damage is part of like the game planning surrounding how you approach stuff?
It is 100%. Your best fighters are defensively sound, even in boxing and all that type of stuff, kickboxing. Your best fighters, the greatest are always very defensively strong. They're very defensively sound. So that's why it does play a big part. Obviously, you got a lot of these guys that I did fight. My last 4 fights, your Max Holloways, how many fights I've had with him, your Ortegas, your Korean Zombies. They're known for being able to take damage, and not very hard to knock out and things like that. So. So obviously you see these guys, they're too tough for their own good sometimes, you know what I mean? And that's when I feel like the refs should do a better job. And I'm not putting pressure on them. I guess they understand that these guys can take, and they know there's a lot on the line, it being a title fight. But sometimes you can see someone's done. There's, you know what I mean? Yeah. They might fluke it, but is it worth them getting close to brain damage for it? I don't think so.
The other guy that you fought last year and you beat is Max Holloway, right? With you as the champ, where do you think he sits in the title picture, man? Because he's still one of the best in the division, without a doubt. It's just that he's lost to you 3 times.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. That's why I said in the lead up to that fight, I felt like it was more on him. Because obviously, if I lose, that would be bad too, right? But I mean, for him, I just felt like, because again, a lot of people still would throw his name in being one of the greatest featherweights, and because he is one of the greatest featherweights and stuff like that. But I felt like his title, himself in the title picture and all that, he loses again. That makes a lot of things hard. You know what I mean? I felt like that does a lot to him, and I said that, and I was a bit vocal about that early. I still think he was a great champ. I still think he's a great fighter, and I still think he beats most of the top guys anyway. We've got a very strong division. A lot of guys are coming up, and obviously through watching me fight and watching some of the top guys fight, everyone's going to start evolving more and more and more. So, you know, I feel like you're going to start seeing these other guys that are rising up really start to get up there anyway. But I still think Max, it wasn't Max went downhill. It's just I literally had him figured out, and I've just went to another level, especially my confidence and things like that. I think that's what it was more about. I still think he makes a very hard fight for anyone in our division.